Hey everybody, welcome to PowerIK. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the free content on the Unreal Engine. Alright, before we start this video, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. So, every month the Unreal Engine posts some free content, and this month has to be the best month, hands down. Alright, and so I'm going to talk about all the cool things that are in here. So, if you don't know how to get here, all I need to do is go to free, and there's two sections here. There's actually the free for the month and the permanently free collection here, and I'm going to be talking about both here. So first up, we have, I think, the best thing in this free bundle here. So if you haven't already added it to cart and checked out, do it right now, because sometimes these things don't go away. Now, what this is that this is the Advanced Puzzle Constructor. Now, if you've ever played a puzzle game like Portal or Breath of the Wild, like the shrines in Breath of the Wild, this essentially allows you to do all that functionality without coding it from scratch. It is amazing. So let's go over some of the things. So there's all these cool things that you can do here. You can check out the video. There's a lot of really awesome stuff here. And even if you're not making a game that's completely puzzle based, sometimes other games have these puzzle elements to it. So I would highly recommend it. It also has the ladder here, and there's a lot of really cool things. You can take a look at some of the items here, and it also has a bunch of different meshes for you. So this is worth it. In fact, I was thinking about buying this literally last month, but now I get it for free, so that's awesome. Okay, the next up is the desert town. Now, if you've ever gone to a ghost town or a desert town in the west of the US or Canada, this is actually a fairly good representation of it. So there's a lot. If you need to make something that's western based, this is something that's really good. I'm surprised at how good the detail is, but you can take a look at it, and it's fairly accurate. It's very, very cool. And it also has a ton of terrain and grass features here. And that alone, I think, is worth the download, but the mine shaft looks pretty cool. There's a lot of really awesome props, like this old-timey cash register here. And you got a nice saloon, some beer bottles. And I think this looks pretty good. And you can see here, there's all these different props here. And you can almost you can see there's a game here. What's in the safe? Or, there's a bunch of different props for you here. You're making an Old West type game. Windmill, water tower. Very, very cool stuff. All right, so this is definitely worth it. Okay, next up, we have the sword and shields first-person animation. So if you know any kind of first-person game that comes with Unreal or the template, it doesn't have the sword animations here. And there's a lot of really cool first-person animations here. If you're making a VR game, if I was making kind of like a VR sword game, this is definitely the template I would use to start with here. So I would definitely use it here. There's a ton of animations, and animations are actually, even though animations are fairly easy in Unreal, this here is quite difficult to even implement here. So this is a ton of animations here, and it's definitely a good project here. I very much like that. Okay, next up we have the smoke builder. Now, the Unreal starter content has some smoke in it, but it's not as good as, well, custom smoke. And if you need to use a bunch of different smoke here, you can actually use a lot of the smoke here. It's very, very, very cool. And this is you can take a look at the preview here, and you can always mix and match your smoke as well as edit it in the editor. So it's very cool. Next up, we also have, and I believe this is the last one here. Yeah, it's last but not least, the city subway. So we now have a subway. This looks like a subway in a big metropolitan area like New York. So this actually looks pretty good. If you need some kind of subway, if you're setting a scene there or something, it's pretty good. It also has a bunch of decals, graffiti, etc. You can even add in your own decals for your own flair there. So that's pretty good. But let's talk a little bit about the free for permanently free collection here. So If you go to free and then permanently free collection here, you can take a look at some of the objects here. So there's a lot of really cool items here for free, but the ones that I want to talk about is this PowerIK, and there's another one in here called the it's the level design bundle here, and I believe you just do level design, you can go ahead and find it here. So let's take a look at this PowerIK. So if you don't know, IK stands for inverse kinematics, and if you've ever seen a game where, let's say, a character is going up a hill and the character has kind of one foot on top of the hill and then the other foot hits the ground below. I mean, it's pretty easy if you're walking up a hill, but it's actually really hard for a computer to do that, and that is why we need these IK or inverse kinematics here. Now, what this does is that this allows you to make these kind of animation adjustments here, and it's very, very good that they've added this in here because it's very tricky. And if you can see here, there's a spider here, and this is exactly what I'm talking about with the inverse kinematics here. So think about it, like, you don't have to make a specific animation for this specific scenario. What it essentially does is that this specific the IK solver will solve this through programming, and that's really cool. The spider is a very good example because there's lots of legs and bones. So like each one of these legs here has a bone in it, and those bones have to be solved for this particular terrain. And by the way, if we look at this terrain, the spider is going to react differently because, again, this particular animation is solved through code. Okay, so there's a lot of really excellent items here, and it looks like it has a snake thing in it too, so that's pretty good. And this is something that you should definitely have in your arsenal. You probably wouldn't want to start off with this, but once your game is near completion, you should probably add this in here. All right, and then last up, we have the Level Design Assistant. Now, I'm making videos for this on my Mammoth Interactive channel, so I highly recommend that you go there. Now, this level that you see here was all built with the level design, and what this does is that this allows you to make kind of grids, so you can see how like the lights are in a grid. Now, imagine placing every single seat, every single light, everything in this level by hand. Wow, a lot of work. Well, this Level Design Assistant makes things easy by letting you duplicate, moving around actors here. So like, if in this example, you're using, let's say, a path, but if you want to make a dock, or there's the chair example, which I think is probably the perfect here. Okay, so let's say you wanted to make this, okay, at the bottom here. Well, first of all, you'd have to A, place the table, B, you'd have to place the chairs all around, and then C, you'd have to rotate them so they look like this. That's very hard to do and very time consuming. But with this, it's like literally done in 10 seconds versus maybe 5 minutes, and that eats up over the time of course of a project. So anytime you get a productivity boost in your games, I highly recommend taking it. Okay, and so as you can see, there's a bunch of if you wanted to make this fence here, right? This allows you to do that, okay? And it makes it very easy here. And it also adds in random rotation. So, so if you've ever built a level before, you'll know that everything kind of snaps onto a grid. And to like rotate things is like a really big problem, okay? And so the one plugin I would love is kind of like putting in a bunch of random objects and just kind of scattering them randomly along the level. And so this is a good example of the boats. Like if you think about it, when, if ever, do you see boats perfectly aligned like this in the water? Well, virtually never, because like there's going to be cross currents and they're probably going to look more like this. Maybe this is a bit too much, but you get the idea. So this randomizer really does work here. And the other thing is, oftentimes when you're building things, the heights are all over the place. Right? So this align tool is super handy. I can't tell you how handy this tool is. By downloading this tool, you're going to save yourself literally hours, if not tens of hours of your time, right? Or hundreds of hours if you do it for years, okay? And then lastly here, you can distribute this, and you can see that, just doing this little thing here will take way more time than the buttons and the functionality that's in here, all right? So the Level Design Assistant is pretty awesome. I highly recommend that you download it here. And that, for now, and actually, believe it or not, there was actually one more thing that I haven't downloaded here. And I'll just take a quick look at that before we go here. And look at this. We have this cool infantry kind of military vehicle. And it has an interior, apparently, which I think is really cool. All right, so if you're making this kind of game, then I'd highly recommend downloading it, because guess what? It's permanently free, but you should download them anyway, because you never know when these things might disappear. All right, so that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.